I have really enjoyed the Fight Oligarchy tour, and I think it's important to know that I've been paying attention, and if you guys have been listening to their live streams, AOC and Bernie are not tailoring their message depending on who they're speaking to. So their messaging is the same in Los Angeles as it is in Utah, as it is in Montana today. They're speaking about working class values, stop allowing the right to divide us by race, religion, gender, and come together. I agree with that messaging, but I also, yes, but racism, sexism, and, homophobia exist and are real. So there's a fine line there. They've also been mentioning Gaza, specifically in the context of students being disappeared for their beliefs and their activities and their freedom of speech. It definitely was disturbing that at this rally, I believe I think one was in Utah, where someone unfurled a Free Palestine banner, and that person got kicked out. And Bernie apparently did not stop that. And you don't have to do that. You don't got to do that. You don't got to kick people out. They can have the Free Palestine banner. This is Kamala Harris level of message policing, tone policing. Let's call it what it is, y'all. Gaza played a massive role in Kamala Harris's loss, putting no daylight between herself and Joe Biden, showing that Democrats speak out of both sides of their face when it comes to human rights and international law, showing that there's always money for war and maiming children and never enough for social programs, and serving to demobilize a lot of young people, a lot of people of color, and a lot of newly politicized people. I think it's really important to understand, just as the George Floyd uprising politicized an entire generation as they were politicized before, maybe by, the Parkland mass shooting or by the economic recession or by Occupy Wall Street. Each generation has their lightning rod moments, and we are living in the same timeline where just a mere 4 years ago, George Floyd is murdered and kicks off a massive movement, the biggest we've ever seen in our lifetime. And then there's the anti-genocide movement, massively galvanizing, not quite as big as BLM, but deeply politicizing for young people, for students specifically. So it's disappointing. Let's check out what happened.
One America in which the wealthiest people, the top 1%, have never,
so security is coming through to the Free Palestine flag that's above the American flag. Now, they're booing. People are booing the security for taking away that banner. And I don't want to be like, oh, that's a white lady. Because, people look at me and they're like, that's a white lady, whatever. But it looks like a white person. It looks like a white person who's holding this sign up. It's being taken away. Bernie stops what he's doing and looks back to see what's happening. Now, there's a range of feeling here. There are some people cheering for the removal of the Free Palestine flag. There are people, as you can hear, booing it. But what you don't hear is Bernie Sanders saying anything yet.
In America today, we have more income. America today. In America today.
So they're being carried away. They're not being physically brutalized, but it looks like security is escorting them out. Bernie turns back to look at what's happening and then tries to go on with his speech.
move on to know that this is a sensitive issue, something I am helping leading the effort.
I know that this is a sensitive issue. My guy, we're a minute after this happened. And people start chanting, read the sign, or keep the sign. I believe they're chanting, keep the sign or read the sign. This is bad, y'all. Like, I trust me, I don't want to look at a clip like this. I just don't. Like, me going about my day, hoping that Bernie Sanders and AOC are out here, fighting the good fight. I don't like this. I don't like any single part of this. This is awful. This move to allow security to crumple up a banner that said Free Palestine and then escort them out and not say anything and then say, I'm going to move to the part of my speech where I have where I have a safe little lane and my well-worn tracks of what I'm going to say. Sanders says Israel has the right to defend itself and repeated the line about not one more nickel to Netanyahu. Look, this happened during the beginning phases of this genocide where Bernie Sanders would refuse and did refuse to call it so. I believe still does. And I don't think we need to demand that he says the word genocide. But that is a really low moment, man. That's a Bernie low light. And let's be honest, Bernie's never been good at people protesting at his events. He was protested by Black Lives Matter folks back in 2016, I believe. Didn't have a very good line or answer to those protests. He's not great on this issue. And you would have hoped that he could just say, leave the sign. What do you like? Let them, hold that sign. Can you imagine the support that he would have gotten? Because what is that? You're just openly embracing the idea while you simultaneously say and acknowledge that people are being disappeared for their beliefs. You're going to allow them to take away this Free Palestine sign from your massive crowd? Look, I wasn't in the room. Maybe folks were. But that's a big old moment where you're like, dang, that kind of crushed me on the whole issue. It's unclear whether Bernie supports boycott, divestment, and sanctions. As of 2018, I believe, my colleague Dina Takruri asked him that from AJ Plus. He said he did not. He still, I don't think, again, says the word genocide, but like, Bernie, you're part of a movement. If you believe not one more nickel to the Netanyahu government, that's a part of sanctioning. That is a part of boycotting. That's a part of divesting. If you actually believed in cutting off the purse strings to this absolutely, illegal, internationally criminal regime of Netanyahu, then you would support BDS. So none of this is to say the Fight Oligarchy tour is not good or what they're doing is bad. No, it's excellent. Bernie was at Coachella. I was like, oh my God, I thought that was great. He spoke in front of tens of thousands of people at Coachella and they listened to him because he's very, very popular with young people. But you have to allow yourself to also be shaped by public opinion and by people pushing you on certain issues. And I think Bernie has shown that he, on certain issues, especially when it comes to Israel, is fairly entrenched. And it's too bad because he is good on it. He leads efforts to try to block sales to Israel. And that's good. That's where he needs to be. But it's not the grassroots visionary energy that I do think that Americans are ready for. Do you know what I mean? I think we're ready for more than just we need to elect better Democrats. I think we're ready for more than just we should primary people and this and that. And let me explain the problem to you again. We know the problem. What's the solution? I want to hear what our vision is. Where are we going? How are we building an inclusive, multiracial, working class democracy? What are the facets of that? How do we move our money out of war and into our communities? I want to hear that. And look, I do think just to tack on to this, it's pretty amazing that AOC got $10 million in donations in just one quarter. 9.6 million in the first quarter of 2025, the best quarter ever for the New York Progressive Democrat. The best quarter ever. You know who to thank for that, right? Chuck Schumer, baby. That's a straight up thank you to Chuck Schumer and a thank you from AOC, because Chuck Schumer fumbling as hard as he's been fumbling, giving Donald Trump his budget bill, has directly raised money for AOC, as people are like, okay, well, I'm going to throw down with you, whether it means you're running for Senate, whether it means you're running for the White House, or it just means I support you. You know, even some centrist Democrats are like, hey, this is a better fighter. So not to draw the corollary too strong, but if this is some, specifically on Gaza, if this is a Biden-Kamala situation, Bernie's the Biden, AOC's the Kamala, I do believe that AOC can and should be pushed on this issue. And guess what? I do think it's a litmus test. I don't think that Gaza is a secondary issue. I think it's a litmus test because we are currently disappearing students based on their criticisms of Israel. So where do you stand on that? Just as I think on everything else, what is your vision? Do you stand for freedom of speech? Do you stand for international law? Do you stand for American law, Leahy law, or not? You can't split hairs on this. Yes or no? And if the answer is yes, then we end the occupation. Sorry. If the answer is yes, we're not having any more kumbaya moments where we come together, Jews and Muslims, Arabs and Israelis. No. We end U.S. support for an illegal occupation of the West Bank and, of course, a siege on Gaza that needed to end long ago. It should be a litmus test. It will be a litmus test. And I hope we can call people in rather than call them out and say, you suck, you're terrible, you're genocidal. It's raising a lot of questions. Chuck Schumer raised just $144,000 during the first quarter of 2025. Womp, womp, womp. A large percent of donations were in small amounts. AOC said the average was $21. Guys, holy $21, 9.6 million. I think people might be catching on that she is our hope. She is the future. Any comments on this particular issue? Thank you so much, Grumpy Dragon, Dark NS 1231. AOC calls it genocide, which is why I like her. Agreed. Social media sucks. Francesca, I've never looked at you and thought that's a white lady. I hope your reaction to this is I could take it. It's okay. You can see whatever. My race is in the eye of the beholder. I've proven this many times.
What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/bitchuation room. Do it.